Hey guys, Jonathan here. The OnePlus 3 has been out for a couple weeks now, and if you're considering picking one up, here are 10 things to know. First off, the price to build quality is insane. For $399, you get an all-metal unibody design that looks and feels fantastic. Not gonna lie though, it does kind of look like an HTC 10 swipe right on an iPhone 6s Plus. Did some stuff you need to throw some earmuffs on for me to talk about, and out came this. But at the end of the day, I get it. We've kind of reached a point where there's only so much you can do with a smartphone design, and similarities aside, it's a well-built, really pretty phone. On the left-hand side above the volume rockers, that is a priority switch. What this does is allow you to shuffle between silent, priority, and all notifications. On the right, there's not a ton going on. You have the dual SIM tray, so there is no micro SD card expansion here. And then below that, the sleep wake button, which also double functions to open the camera if you quick press it twice. Moving towards the bottom, there's a single speaker, which sounds good, not great, a USB Type-C port, headphone jack, and then lastly towards the back, the only real drawback with the design is there's a pretty apparent camera hump. Number 2, and this is one of the most important factors surrounding the OnePlus 3, and that's the fact that finally there is no more invite system. So what that means is you can go onto OnePlus's website, there's no codes, there's no wait list, just the ability to buy a freaking phone. Now as of now, there is one model, one storage option, and that is it. But there is expected to be a gold model launching later this year. Now number 3, and again, this directly correlates with the price point and how much you're getting for the money, and that's the fact that this thing is packing monster specs. Inside is a quad-core Snapdragon 820, which isn't crazy by any means. What is crazy though is that this thing has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Now to be honest, I think way too many people get caught up in specs and cores and clock speeds, because at the end of the day, what's actually more important is how the phone performs and more importantly, how it feels. The good news though is the OnePlus 3 for me has felt great. Whether you want to attest that to the specs or to the RAM, I think it's more of a combination with Oxygen OS, because combined it results in a super lightweight, snappy, fluid experience. Now I did notice while gaming it did get a little hotter than I would have liked. I'm not going to get crazy and whip out temperature guns or anything, but I do want to point out the negative along with the positive. Now number 4 is the fact that this doesn't have a 1440p display, but that's okay. I've seen the OnePlus 3 take a ton of heat for not only using a 1080p display, but also for using a pen tile panel. And for one, the people that get that hardcore are probably not people you want to hang out with. 2, the phone is $399, and 3, to the majority of people out there, the screen looks really good. There's a ton of references against the Galaxy S7, the G5, the major flagships, and again, all of those phones are almost twice the price. Now is the screen perfect? Absolutely not, and one of the drawbacks I noticed was using this thing outside. When it was really bright outside, this thing struggled to keep up, making it fairly hard to use in those conditions. Aside from that though, whether you're watching movies, gaming, or browsing the web, if anyone tells you the screen looks bad, they are crazy. Now number 5 is, unlike the OnePlus 2, the OnePlus 3 now features NFC. And while this isn't anything to praise the OnePlus 3 for, it is nice that they finally included it. Then number 6 is, while there isn't Quick Charge 3.0 on the OnePlus 3, there is fast charging with Dash Charge. Now if you've never heard of Dash Charge, that is because it is OnePlus's proprietary fast charge solution. And while there may be a potential negative there due to the fact that you're going to have to use Dash Charge products to get the benefits, that aside, it works crazy well. Starting with a battery life percentage of 38%, after 30 minutes of charging, that got it juiced up all the way to 90%. Now number 7 is, on paper, the camera looks fantastic. A 60 megapixel rear shooter, an 8 megapixel camera on the front, but in reality, it does fall a little short. The negatives definitely fall towards taking video with the OnePlus 3. For the most part, taking stills in the OnePlus 3 is stellar. Photos were sharp, crisp, there's tons of detail, the colors were solid. In certain situations it did struggle a little bit with dynamic range, especially in brighter situations like this where you can see the highlights get blown out. But again, as a whole, it's a great stills camera. Video on the other hand, not so much. There's supposed to be stabilization in this, but no matter how steady you try to hold this, the OnePlus 3 does an amazing job at making it look shaky. You can also see it has a ton of trouble autofocusing, which results in a really jittery image. And while there are a ton of good things with the OnePlus 3, as far as taking video, it falls flat on its face. Then number 8, and jumping back to some positivity, the fingerprint reader is crazy fast. With the OnePlus 2, that was always a step behind other fingerprint readers, but with the OnePlus 3, it is instantaneous. Put your finger down and you are in the screen. Now number 9 is, aside all of the hype surrounding battery life, with the OnePlus 3 you can expect decent to good but not great battery life. At the end of the day, no matter how you spin it, this is a 3000 milliamp hour battery, which for me, on a phone like this, is a little small. They went all the way to the moon with the RAM, so I wish they would have put some of that ambition towards battery life. Ideally a 4000 milliamp hour battery, or at the very least 3500. Again, this is by no means me saying that this is going to yield poor battery life. I just wish with OnePlus always dubbing themselves as the flagship killer, they would have gone a little above and beyond in the battery department. All in all though, you will more than likely get through a full day, and if you happen to drain your battery fast, luckily there is dash charge. Now lastly at number 10, and this is probably my favorite thing about the OnePlus 3, and that's the fact that Oxygen OS is extremely useful and customizable. Small things like being able to swipe down literally anywhere on your screen to access notifications, the ability to switch between software and hardware buttons, being able to switch between both a light and dark theme, and what I've always thought to be really cool is that you can change songs by drawing a less than or greater than sign. Aside from that, the OnePlus 3 isn't perfect, but for the money, it's a fantastic phone, and more importantly, you can actually buy it this time.